Hands up. Okay. That's a lot of hands. Put them back down. I'm going to ask some questions today. And all I want you to do is I want you just to be honest if these questions are about you. See, my life, it's been a journey of lots of good choices and a lot of bad choices. But see, when I was a kid, I thought I had a picture-perfect family. It was mom and dad. It was my sister and me. We were a family of 4. And I really didn't think that my family had any problems. I never one time, and I mean this, not one time, and I'm not lying about it, I never one time did I see my mom and my dad have a serious fight, a serious argument. I believe that I had this picture-perfect family. And my dad, he was my Superman, my role model, my icon, my hero. He was my absolute everything. If I could have been like anybody in life, it would have been like my dad, man. When I was young, when I was in the 4th and 5th grade, about the same age as all of you guys are, my dad used to teach me, Nathan, if you want something in life, if you have dreams and goals, whatever that may be, if you want it, you can go get it. You don't have to wait for parents or friends or teachers or anybody in life to give you anything. You control that. Good choices and good decisions will have great outcomes. And see, my dad, I believe that. He never once ever let me win. And my mom wouldn't get upset about that. He taught me, true story, he taught me how to play chess. Who knows what chess is? It's a board game. It's kind of complicated. There's a lot of pieces. It's a thinking game. He taught me when I was a young kid to play chess. And I think the only reason he taught me was because he wanted to just beat the brakes off of me. I mean, he destroyed me every single game that I played. And my mom would be like, Tim, my dad's name's Tim, why won't you ever let Nathan win? And my dad looked at my mom and he looked at me and he said, listen, Nathan, my son, is going to realize life can be tough sometimes. And sometimes there's going to be hard days. And sometimes there's going to be tough situations. There are real problems we all face. We all have a journey. And my son is going to learn to outthink people. He's going to be a problem solver. He's never going to be 6'5" and 6'6" and play basketball. He's going to have to learn to outthink people and outthink the problem. And that made sense to me. I needed to learn to realize that whatever obstacle, whatever choice, whatever journey that I'm in, there's going to be hard times. Nothing's given to us. But I needed to learn how to think and make good choices and decisions. We all have what I call moments of impact. Moments of impact are this. When something happens in your life, a single event, one conversation, one single occurrence where you get good news or bad news. Moments of impact are when one thing happens, right? Maybe you won the championship, or maybe you got an A on a test, or maybe you went on vacation for the first time and you were so excited, right? Or maybe something sad happened. Maybe you lost a grandparent or a parent or a brother or a sister, something bad and they passed. Something good or bad happens in our lives that impacts us, where it seems like everything around us gets intensified. It's like when this one thing happened, you remember the clothes that you were wearing. You remember the people that were around you. It was so impactful, you remember extra specific details in life. How many of you can sit back right now from the 5th grade to the kindergarten, you can think back of something that's happened in your life that you remember everything about it? Raise your hand. You remember everything about it. They're called moments of impact. And I had my first real big moment that I remember when I was in the 5th going into the 6th grade. You see, I didn't realize that my family wasn't picture perfect. I thought I had a perfect world. The truth is, though, there was a lot of struggles in my life. There was a lot of things that I didn't know about. And when they told me that, I was so mad. You see, a lot of us A lot of us in here, 5th and 4th graders especially, my 3rd graders, my 2nd graders, my 1st graders, a lot of times when we grow up, we will act sometimes, what happens is we will find ourselves, what I say, wearing a mask. Sometimes we'll smile like we're okay. Sometimes we'll smile like everything's just picture perfect, right? But on the inside, we're hurting. On the inside, we're not okay. On the inside, it's not what we say we are. How many of us, if we were just honest, 5th graders, 4th graders, 3rd graders, how many of you can say sometimes you know you wear a mask and you act like everything's okay, but really everything's not okay? A lot of us. Listen, today, one thing that I want you to understand, and that it's so important for all of you, it's okay to not be okay. Listen to me. It's okay for you to have hurts and pains, because at the end of the day, all of us, your teachers, your parents, your friends, we all, every single one of us have struggles. Every one of us have ups and downs. But what you need to do is need to realize that you don't want to just bottle those things up. You don't want to just act like it's no big deal. I guarantee you, I see a lot of teachers in here. I see a lot of people in this room that care, genuinely care about you. I can even tell how they're sitting. They're sitting like mother hens and papa hens over their chickadees right now, protective, because they want to see you guys be successful. And so if you've got things going on in your life, hurts, ups and downs and pains, you need to know that it's okay to talk to counselors and to teachers and to parents and to people. You see, I didn't do that. I kept everything bottled inside. Even though I was really upset about my mom and my dad, and I found out that my mom and my dad, they weren't picture perfect. My mom and my dad, they struggled with verbal and mental and physical abuse. They battled with drugs and alcohol. They had a lot of issues. And when I found out, I was so mad. I remember I looked at my mom and I said, I'm never going to be like you. I'm never going to touch any alcohol. I'm never going to do drugs. I was so hurt. I was determined to prove to my parents that I didn't need them. But on the inside, I was just a hurting little boy. I was a young man who had a lot of pain, and I didn't know how to deal with it. That was around the 6th grade year of my life. I had, though, 2 really good friends. When I was going through school, I had a kid named Jared and a kid named Jordan who were my best friends. Jared wanted to become a pharmacist. Jordan wanted to go to the Army. And if I could have been anything that I wanted to be a photographer for the National Geographic. 1, because I love animals. 2, I love taking pictures. And 3, well, I love traveling. So it made sense. I had Jared and Jordan. Let me ask this. How many of you can say that you are either somebody's best friend or that somebody is your best friend? Raise your hand. Awesome. Let me ask us, what's your name? Jackson. Jackson, come here, Jackson. Everybody say hi, Jackson. They all love you, man. Listen, Jackson, if I was your best friend, right, that means most likely, I would probably be hanging out with you, maybe spend the night every once in a while. We would play video games. We would send Snapchats back and forth. We made texts back and forth. Jackson, if I was your best friend, that means you would know sometimes when I'm not okay. You would know my hurts. You would know my pains. You would know my struggles. But you would also probably know like my dreams and my goals and who I want to become and what I want to do in life, right? If we were best friends, if me and Jackson were best friends, that means we would live life together. I would be invested in you and you would be invested in me. We would be spending time together. You know what a real best friend is, guys? See, a real best friend like me and Jackson right here, a real best friend is willing to help each other because, see, your friends should know your dreams, your goals, what you want to do, who you want to become. And if I'm your best friend, Jackson, that means it's my job. It's my responsibility. It's my duty at all costs, Jackson, to make sure and to help you get to the next level, to help dreams and goals in your life become real, to make sure you're not making bad choices and bad decisions, because we together as friends are supposed to be helping each other becoming successful people that absolutely touch the stars. That's a real best friend, Jackson. I'm supposed to make sure that you become successful at all costs. That is what a real best friend is. Can we really give Jackson a round of applause? Thank you, brother. Listen, a real best friend, fifth graders, and you got to really understand this, because you're going to be in the sixth grade soon, and then you're going to go to the middle school and the high school. A real best friend is somebody that knows your pains. They know your struggles. They know the hardships, the ins, the outs. They know you. And if they're a real best friend, and if you're somebody's real best friend, that means it's your job to be there for them, to help them make good choices and good decisions. And I had that. I had Jared and Jordan in my life. But I want all of you to understand something. When you start growing up in life, and as the world gets bigger and bigger, you're going to have a lot of tough choices to make. You're going to have a lot of tough decisions to make. Because, see, life can be hard. Sometimes life's a struggle. You know, when I started growing up, how many of you know what the word peer pressure is? Peer pressure. Have you ever heard of the word peer pressure? Right? A lot of the fourth, fifth, or third graders. Peer pressure is when you feel those around you wanting you to make choices and decisions that maybe aren't the best, but you know what? You care more about fitting in than standing up for what you know is right. My biggest problem when I was growing up was simply this. My sister was 4 years older than me. And so I watched my sister go through middle school and high school as I was kind of 4 years behind her. I watched her become popular in the high school. She was a cheerleader. She dated the star athlete. Everybody liked her. Everybody loved her. And so I felt this pressure that I had to kind of fit into my school because it was a really big school. My biggest problem, Jackson, was this. I had two good friends that cared about me. I had two friends that were invested in me, Jared and Jordan. But I made one of the worst mistakes that I ever could have made in my entire life. When I started growing up and when I started changing schools, and a lot of you are going to have to face the same reality when we go from this school to that school, I felt like I needed to give up the friends that cared about me, that were good to me, that were there for me. After I got to my new school in high school, I kind of looked at Jared and Jordan, and I didn't think that they were going to be the popular kids that were going to help me be in certain groups of people that I wanted to. I stepped away from Jared and Jordan. I stepped away from them, and I started finding new friends. The problem is, the new friends, they didn't know me. Jackson, they weren't committed to me, man. They didn't know my journey. They didn't know my pain. They didn't know my struggle. These new friends that I started hanging around, they gave me two nicknames. They gave me the nickname Bacon because they said I was fat like a pig. The reason they gave me that nickname is because, see, I'm 5'7"-ish. I'm close. More like 5'6". But I was about 70 pounds heavier than what I am right now. When I was growing up, I was this tall by the time I was an 8th grader, and I didn't grow up anymore, but I was a heavier kid. And these new friends, they gave me the nickname Bacon because they said I was fat like a pig. The other nickname they gave me was Nasty Nate. And they gave me the nickname Nasty Nate because, see, these new friends that I was trying to hang around with, they looked at me, and I didn't have a lot of nice clothes. I didn't have designer clothes. My mom didn't have a lot of money. She did the best that she could, but a lot of my clothes were hand-me-downs from cousins and uncles. A lot of my clothes were from the clearance aisles and Goodwills. I didn't have nice things. And when it came to getting school supplies, like backpacks and folders, I never got brand new stuff there either. I always got my sister's as a hand-me-down. And so by the time I started getting these new friends, it was time for me to get my license and to start driving. And well, my mom, she did the best that she could, but I only was able to get an old beat-up kind of a junky car. It got the job done, but well, it wasn't very nice. These new friends, I call them friends, they were picking on me. They were making fun of me. They were calling me these names. And I want us all to know, and we all know, words hurt, don't they? How many of us know words honestly do hurt? Words hurt. And even though I acted like I was okay, I acted like it was no big deal, when these friends were calling me Nasty Nate and Bacon and picking on me, it really hurt my heart. It really hurt my feelings. I began to believe that maybe my life, I wasn't anything and I wasn't any good. But here was my biggest mistake. I was willing to stay around friends who didn't care about me, friends who didn't really believe in me, and friends that would make fun of me and pick on me, because if I hung out with these cool kids, all of you guys thought I was a cool kid too. And even though on the inside I was hurting, on the inside I was wearing this mask. I want all of you to understand something. Kindergarten, first, second, third especially, listen. Fourth and fifth, as you grow up in life, you do not have to stay around people who pick on you, who make fun of you. You do not have to stay around people that are constantly tearing you down. If your friends are constantly cutting you down and making fun of you, I'm telling you, don't waste your time. You find new friends, kids that will speak life to you, that will encourage you, that will be someone like Jackson and me, that will absolutely help us get to the next level. Don't be like me. Because I want to be honest, these friends, they made me start to believe that my life was no good. I want to ask the question in here. How many of you do you know, and I just want you to raise your hand. And when I ask this question, I just want you to picture this person. I just want you to think about them. How many of you know in this gymnasium right now, you know there are young men and women that you kind of know, your friends kind of know, everybody kind of knows who they are, but they're sitting in here and they're listening to me through the microphone. They're the kids that everybody kind of knows. They always pick on kids. Are there kids in here that you know are picking on kids in the school right now? Raise your hand. Okay, listen to me. With those hands raised, keep your hands up. I don't want you to say a word, but I want you just to picture their face. I want you to think about who they are. I want you to visualize that person that you know picks on kids. Right now, raise your hand. Okay, you can put your hands down. Young man, young lady, whoever you are that's in here, I don't need to know who you are. I don't have to single you out and call you out by name. But there was a school just now that almost all of us raised our hands and we were thinking about somebody who picks on kids and bullies kids. And you know what? They were thinking by you by name. And the truth is, a lot of my fifth graders, my fourth, third, second, first, and kindergarten, you know you're somebody that picks on kids. You know you're somebody that's mean, that's rude, that's not nice, that says mean and awful things, that sometimes maybe hits kids. You know you're somebody that's not very nice. And the truth is, this entire school is thinking about you by name. You know people are thinking about you right now. And I want this school to understand kind of why you act the way you act. You see, I know why you pick on kids. And as this whole school's thinking about you, they know why you pick on kids. And I want to tell them, listen to me guys, all those kids that you're thinking about, that pick on kids, that make fun of kids, I want you to understand why they're doing that. That person you're thinking about, that we know picks on each other, I promise you when they wake up, 5th graders, 4th graders, 3rd graders especially, because you guys kind of understand this, those kids that are picking on you, I promise you when they wake up and they look in the mirror and they see their reflection, they don't like what they see. The bully that picks on people in this school, at the end of the day, you wear the biggest mask of all. You hide behind your hurtful words. You hide behind having to pick on kids and make fun of kids because at home, in your life, you look in the mirror and you don't like who you see. Sometimes, most of us, we feel alone. We feel like we're not important. Maybe our mom and our dads are having a good time, and maybe you're acting up and you're making poor choices. But at the end of the day, when nobody's around, you know you are not okay. And so what you've learned to do, 5th graders, all of the ones that are in here that pick on kids, what you've learned to do is that you've realized since you feel like nobody loves you and you're not very valuable, that's what you really feel like, you come to school and you've realized with my little group of friends, because you probably run around with a group of friends. All of those that pick on kids, I bet you guys all know they have a group of 3 or 4 or 5 friends. And what happens is the kid that doesn't feel good about himself, he comes to school, she comes to school, finds somebody that they think is weak, or they don't look a certain way or talk a certain way, and they pick on them and they make fun of them and they cut them down. 4th graders, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's kids here that come and pick on kids and they run around with their group of friends. The reason why they're picking on kids, they need their friends to laugh. They need others to laugh and to think they're important. They need to intimidate us because at the end of the day, they don't feel very valuable. And when they pick on kids, it makes them feel like they're in control. But at the end of the day, young man, young lady, whoever you are that picks on kids, whoever you are, I know. Your teachers know. You've got issues. You're wearing a mask and you're scared to talk about it. You think it's a weakness to talk about your pain. I'm here to tell you, I promise you, it is okay to not be okay. It is okay for you to be honest with yourself and say, hey, Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so, I've got some issues and I need to talk about this and I need to talk about that. But what's not okay, listen to me, what's not okay is for you to keep tearing people down and hurting people with your words. It's never going to make you feel better. You're never going to get better because you know what your words are doing to some of us? Your words are causing some of us to think like we just want to give up on life. I want to ask this question. And all of you that pick on kids, I want your eyes to look at the hands. And I just want to ask this question because every elementary school I go to, I know a lot of you are a lot more grown up than what us grown-ups think you are. All of my, from kindergarten to 5th grade, this school year, how many of you have heard one of your classmates, you've just heard somebody in your school, and I want you to raise your hand, I want you to be honest. You've heard somebody in this school this year talk about maybe I should just give up on life, and maybe they'll say a really scary word. Maybe I should just commit suicide or kill myself. How many of you have heard that this year in the school? I want you to hold those hands high. Listen to me. 5th graders, 4th graders, 3rd graders, K through 3-2, especially to my wings right here. You can put your hands down. There's a lot of us in here that are hurting. There are a lot of us in here that are struggling. And you're the ones that are telling me that you, the students, have heard your classmates talking about these things. Whoever you are, young man, whoever you are, young lady, that's picking on your family, because you're a big family in here. Like it, love it, or leave it. Fifth graders, you're all a family. Fourth graders, you're a family. Third graders, kindergarten, first, second, we're all a big family here. And when one of us is hurting, we all hurt. When one of us are struggling, we all struggle. And your hands, you're the ones that are saying to me, like, I know kids in here that feel alone. Listen to me, whoever you are in here, whichever person those hands represented, if you're somebody who has thought about giving up, if you're somebody who has thought about quitting on life, listen to me. Don't you dare give up. Don't you dare believe the lie that quitting on life is okay. You're not alone. People love you. People care about you. Don't you dare steal and rob me what you were born to be. What do I mean by that? And every single one of you, all of you who feel alone sometimes, all of you that feel like maybe you want to give up, inside of you, you all probably have dreams. You have goals. You have these things that you want to achieve in life. In this room, I guarantee you are going to be doctors. I guarantee you there will be some teachers. There will be some engineers. There will be some welders. There may be a musician, an athlete, an actor. In this room is greatness. In this room is people who were born to be amazing. And if you, whoever you are, that are thinking about giving up on life, if you quit on us, you rob the teachers, your friends, your family. I'll be selfish. You rob me of what you were born to be, because you are destined to be something amazing. You're not alone. You see, when I was growing up in elementary and middle school, I didn't have people talk to me like this, but I get it. We're hurting. A lot of us are struggling, and I'm telling you what, you guys are being so good. See, best friends. Let me ask this question. How many fifth graders, fourth graders, third graders, especially, how many of you know somebody in your grade, in your school here, who sometimes battles with self-harming themselves? Raise your hand. Put your hands down. You know why I talk about thoughts of giving up and why I'll talk about self-harming? Not because I read a book about it so I could talk about it, because I almost gave up when I was in school. I can count the scars on my hand when I battled self-harming when I was in school. I know what it's like to feel alone. I know what it's like to feel like nobody gets you. But I'm telling you, I was wrong, and that was a lie. People care about you. And if you're self-harming, if that's you in this school, I promise you, it will never, ever, ever do what you want it to do. You're never going to feel the hurt or the void that you think you are when you're self-harming. A lot of us do it, and I'm just going to be honest, we do it because we want attention. We do it because we want people to look at us, because we feel invisible. But we've learned, if I do this, people pay attention to me. I'm telling you, every one of you in here, man, you little men, little women, you're beautiful. I've got a son and I've got a daughter, and I feel 100% okay with looking every one of you in the eye, all of these, you amazing young men and women, and saying you're beautiful. Don't harm that beauty that's inside of you. Don't harm what you're supposed to be doing in life. Again, it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to talk to people about your struggles. You're not alone. I know what it's like. You see, when I was growing up, no one talked to me like this. Those new friends, they didn't even stop picking on me. They started asking me and saying, maybe, Nathan, you should try using some drugs. Maybe you should try to drink some alcohol. Let me ask this question. How many of you know in this school you've got classmates who sometimes drink alcohol? Raise your hand. Raise your hands high. You've got classmates You know somebody in this school that sometimes drinks? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you know somebody in this school that sometimes smokes marijuana? Raise your hand. Well, let me say this first and foremost, administration. That is the absolute best I have ever seen in an elementary school in all the schools. Can we give yourself a round of applause? Like that, seriously. That is amazing. Now, I saw some hands getting raised. And that means I know some of you in here are battling that. But I'm so proud of so many of you who haven't made those poor choices and haven't made those poor decisions. This is the absolute best of all the schools that I've ever been to in an elementary. That's the best that I've ever seen. And that is so amazing. And thank you, teachers and staff and principals and administration, for loving these kids and building them and helping them get to a safe place. But I want all of you to understand something. I want you to understand as you grow up, you're going to sometimes get put in situations where maybe there's going to be that choice. And I want you to understand, don't ever do it. Don't ever make those choices of using drugs and alcohol. You want to know why? You see, when I was growing up, I hung around with these friends, and these friends asked me to start doing those things. And I cared so much about fitting in, I started doing them. By the time I was a senior in high school, my life fell apart. That young man who was making good choices and good decisions, that young man who was so passionate about wanting to make every day the best as I can, I started making bad choices. I started making bad days. By the time that I was a senior, drugs and alcohol took over my life. My life fell apart. You see, the drugs and the alcohol, when I started, they looked like a cute little bear cub. The bear cub it's cute. I went to the zoo in San Diego and they had panda bears. All my 5th grade dudes, all my 4th grade dudes, you may act like you're tough, right? You may act like you're a big bad guy. Let me show you a baby panda bear and you will melt like butter. I'm telling you, I was around these panda bears and they were so cute. The little bear cub, it was so cuddly. I could take pictures with it. I wanted all the selfies with it. And at the end of the day, a bear cub couldn't hurt me. A bear cub can't wound me. It's innocent. Drugs and alcohol are the same way, guys. When you grow up, you'll get opportunities and people will offer for you to make some bad choices. Don't ever do it. Don't ever, because I'm promising you, drugs and alcohol and all of those things, they're like a bear cub. It seems innocent, it seems easy, not a big deal sometimes, but it will grow up. And that bear cub, as it grows up, it will come and try to kill you. How do I know? See, when I was your guys' age, I told my mom and my dad, never, ever will I touch drugs and alcohol. Never. But as I got older, I compromised. I changed what I believed and stood for because I wanted to fit in of peer pressure. I started using drugs and alcohol, and my life fell apart. My life spiraled out of control. I could stand here, and a lot of you won't even believe me, but I remember when I started making bad choices, how bad things could be. I didn't believe it at first. I got kicked out of school my senior year. I didn't get to graduate. I got kicked out because of poor choices and poor decisions. I went to the Army when I was 18 years old. Not because I wanted to, because I had to. I got kicked out of the Army when I was 19 years old because I kept using drugs and alcohol and making really bad choices and really bad decisions. I came home when I was 20 years old and I was living with my grandpa. I kept making bad choices. I stole a bunch of money for them because you know what? When you start feeding the bear cub drugs and alcohol, the bear cub grows up. And when the bear cub grows up, it can turn into a grizzly bear. It can turn into a polar bear, a full-grown black bear. And a grown bear can kill you. And they always tell you not to feed the bears. If you ever go to the zoos, if you ever go to the parks down in like the Smoky Mountains, I got to go down there last summer, and there's bears everywhere. And they put signs up everywhere. Don't feed the bears. The reason they tell you not to feed bears is because if you give them food, they will eventually look to us people as a resource to get food. And if somebody after you shows up and there's the bear and they don't have food, that bear may come and try to hurt that person. It's happened down in Tennessee and the Smoky Mountains all the time. And when I went down there and there were these signs everywhere. Don't feed the bears. See, my life spiraled out of control. When I was 23 years old, guys, when I started talking to you guys today, I probably just look like a random guy with a man bun. But when I was 23, 9 years ago, I made a terrible choice. At 23, most of us will just be graduating college, maybe having our husbands and our wives and having families, maybe going back to school. I was 23 and I was making bunches of bad choices. I ended up, at 23 years old, I got behind the wheel when I was drinking and driving. I remember like it was yesterday. It was a Friday night. Me and my buddies went out and had a good time. We went out to a bar. I drank a bunch of alcohol. They wanted to go to a big party and they said, "Nathan, do you want to come?" And I said, "Sure." I got on the phone and I called my designated driver. Who's ever heard about a designated driver before, right? We've heard about designated drivers. Yeah, they'll tell you when you grow up, if you drink, don't drive. Call somebody. I did. A woman named Priscilla showed up. She came to pick me up to take me to the next place. The problem is, somewhere in me leaving that building to get into her car, somewhere in the middle of all of that, she gave me her keys. And I got in behind the driver's wheel. And I remember, we talk about moments of impact, right? When we can remember all the details about a situation. I remember the next word Priscilla said to me as we took off that night and she gave me her keys. The last word I remember Priscilla saying to me was, "Tree!" And then it was really dark. On July 17, 2009, I hit a really big tree when I was drinking and driving. You see, when you grow up, guys, don't ever give in to feeding the bear. Make good choices. Make good decisions. What happened in my life as well, when we hit that tree, I had a seatbelt on. Priscilla didn't. And when we hit the tree, she flew forward. And that case of beer that I put in the back passenger seat, it flew forward too. And the beer and Priscilla flew through the air, and they hit the windshield at the same time. And it sandwiched her. And she slid to the floor of the car. On July 17, 2009, Priscilla, because of my poor choices, my poor decisions, she broke her neck. And on July 17, 2009, she died. And I know when I started this today, when I started talking to you, you guys probably had no idea that I was going to talk about how somebody died in an accident that I was responsible for. And we've talked about a lot of stuff, about making good choices and good decisions and real friends and what a best friend is. I promise you, if you start feeding the bear as you grow up, that bear, drugs and alcohol, it's going to come and try to get you. Don't be a Nathan Harmon. Don't make bad choices and bad decisions like I did. You know, I know here at this school, you guys get amazing words of wisdom every evening at the end of the day. I know that you have an administration and a staff that cares about you. You hear a lot that you can make today a good day, but it's always your choice. You hear all the time about today, it can be a good day or it can be a bad day. The choice will always be yours. And that's so serious and it's so true. Listen, guys, whatever you want to become in life, whatever dreams, whatever goals, whatever it is you want to do, right? You can become anything that you want to become. Today can be good or today can be bad. But the amazing part about all of that is that it's your choice. It's your decision. Make good choices. Make good decisions. Treat each other nice. Treat each other the way that you would want somebody to treat you. These things we know. These things are those simple things your parents and your teachers have been teaching you. But it's up to you, us, the students, the family of this school, to make those good choices and to make those good decisions. Let me ask this question, because in my life, I made a lot of bad choices. I had a lot of reasons that I could have given up. How many of you, 5th graders, 4th graders, 3rd graders, K, 1, 2, and 3, how many of you sometimes feel like you've made too many mistakes to change? Would you raise your hand? You've made too many bad choices to change. How many of you, okay? How many of you feel like you just want to give up sometimes? Raise your hand. Okay, let me ask this question. How many of you, if you're being honest with me, how many of you know that your grades aren't as good as they could be if you just tried a little harder? Right? Okay, a lot of us. Listen to me. Every one of you that feel hopeless sometimes, every one of you that feel like you've made too many poor choices to change, I want you to understand something. You can become anything that you want to become still. You haven't made too many poor choices. I began to believe, even with all the bad stuff that I had done, even with all the bad choices and the bad decisions to make some really bad days, I decided that I could change. I decided that I wanted to start doing better. I decided that I wanted to start making my days good days, and I had the power to do so by making good choices, listening, being responsible, treating each other nice, listening to my teachers. Do you guys want to know something? Do you know why your teachers are always trying to give you orders and rules in the classroom? Not to control you. Not because they want to beat you over the head and make you listen because they demand respect. They give you rules because rules and guidance and boundaries are to keep us safe. They're trying to teach you now what the world's going to try to take from you later. If you don't learn to listen to the simple rules about sitting in your assigned seat or whatever some of the classroom rules your teacher has, if you can't listen to them now, what makes you think later in life you're going to listen to the rules of life? What you do today is who you're going to be tomorrow. You know why you should respect your teachers? Because you respect you. And you respect you, so you want to listen to them because you value you. These teachers, the principals, the administration here, we love you. They care about you. And this school will be what you make it.